fire. But like, have we done that? Like,
We did that last
post.
week.
We did that. We
Yeah.
did that like last episode.
Oh, the post tourney. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't watch last week's show, so.
Wow, okay. You're a fake
Ha.
fan.
Ha! Ha!
Fraud.
All right, I think I'm ready. Let's see what I can do. 3, 2, 1. Hey guys, welcome to the 21st episode of the Melee Stats podcast, starring me, SaveAsUntitled.
Me, Edwin Budding.
KayB, yeah. Yeah.
So
Shit.
you can kind of tell it's been a while since we've professionaled it up since you've been here. So, Kay, if you want to give everyone a little bit of a reminder, your background in Melee.
Oh, I'm a floaty main, so take that as you will. I write stuff about Japan, specifically about their tournament on Reddit. So maybe you've seen those, maybe you have not. I TO in Korea. Our young scene of maybe like 10. So
You got to start somewhere.
yeah, that's all.
And you're
that's
the
all you
other,
need to know
you're
about.
the other resident Samus main in Melee Stats.
We
Yeah.
have three.
Well,
Samus-
the third one. The
Who
third
am I
one.
forgetting? YCZ and
Algebra.
Algebra. Oh, I don't think I've ever played with
Yeah.
Algebra. Sorry, I saw you in the chat earlier. But we've got.
Yeah,
a
I'm
pretty-
definitely the worst out of the three.
Hey, you still beat my ass at the big house. Before we jump into it, I don't think I won a single match at the big house. Like, not a single friendly, not against worse players, not against better players. I did not win a single match. It was not a good weekend for me. I mean, I had fun, but okay. But
I guarantee you're not the only Falco at that tournament that has happened to.
Yeah, there's definitely other Falcos as well. So you're not
Yeah.
alone.
Yeah.
You guys can make a community together. The Falco
Of
that hate
shitters that go
Samus.
0-2.
Yeah. Yeah, it's called the Falco Discord.
Oh, hey, you're already firing shots.
God damn it.
First episode back in like 15 weeks.
Come
We're
on.
gonna get angry comments now.
Yeah, I don't actually have a beef with the Falco
At
Discord.
least Ambi waits like a half hour to start shitting on Pale. You can't
Yeah, Kay's already at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, we're not talking about Europe or anything, so it's like.
Fair enough. But we do have a pretty a shorter show than normal. Also, if you guys have any Q&A questions, I'll try to pick them out in the chat throughout the whole thing. But obviously, we're going to start out with Shine, and it really makes sense to start with the lead talking about Zane's win. Mr. Marth Main himself, do you want to gush about Zane? the sweater, it's bringing it back.
So, if you guys didn't check on Twitter, when Zane defeated Hungrybox in Winners Finals,
I'll pull it up.
I leaped from my seat and pumped my fist and hit something. I don't remember what. So hard. Maybe it was another person. I doubt it. But I hit something so hard and didn't even recognize until like a good 3 minutes later when I looked over at my left hand and it was bleeding. I think there's still marks. I'm not sure if the stream can see them at all. The light's kind of weird. Yeah, so you can see like
see it, yeah.
you can kind of see 2 marks there. But that was one of the happiest times I've ever hurt my fist popping off for something. And I was just so happy. A non-Fox beat Hungrybox. This fucker's gotten away for too long just beating Foxes in his bracket or better playing people. It's great for the character. Like it's been how long? What, like 3 years since PPU did it at Apex 2015? I know that's kind of like a meme to bring that up. But honestly, it's been so long that I forgot that like a Marth player could do it. Even though Zane was making progress, obviously as the sets went on, even heading into their set, I still kind of feel like this on the inside. Like he was such a big underdog. Like because usually when people come close to beating members of the top 6, like they get put on like their radar, you know, because those players don't want to lose to them. And for Zane to adapt, knowing fully well that HBox is going to come in with new stuff. And for him to show new things in his gameplay was just so sick, and I was really happy for it.
It was amazing. Like, I completely wrote off after seeing the previous sets that Zane probably wouldn't do this. People gave me a lot of shit for this, and it's the SaveAsUntitled curse. I talked about Wizzrobe, I talked about Westballs, I talked about Mango, I talked about Hungrybox. Zane was the only person I left out. Like, there's no way he can win Shine, and then he did it. It's insane. It's great for You're saying it's great for Marth. It's also great for Melee. Like the fact that Zane can win a major. It's just awesome in general. Okay, he's got a hot take. I feel it.
Let's go,
No, I mean, no. Okay, first, no. I'm just look. It is good for Melee, and I'm happy that Zane won. It's just you guys know how I feel about Marth.
That's fair. That's fair enough.
So when you say this is like a win for the Marth community, I'm like, okay, yeah, that's less important.
No, but like seriously, think
if
about
all
it, dude.
Marths tomorrow just like started losing to like every player and every character, I would be like, huh. And nothing of value was lost.
Think about it, dude. Like how long our best player, like wrote off the matchup because he was too lazy to learn pivots. You know how much that hurts?
I love that you're talking like in Marth players as a collective us. Like you get together for meetings and talk about how Falco lasers
You get together for meetings, and know that our best player gave up on our character in the matchup. That hurts. We gotta hold that.
I'm a Falco main, don't you think? I know how it feels to have.
It's okay. You guys got Mango. He had a good tournament too. It's not like he didn't.
He almost a lot of Adamus.
That
Look,
was an ugly.
like okay,
set.
he didn't play horrible against Adam. So I guess there was just some weird fuckery that went on with that set. But
you didn't think he played like impatient? I thought he just ran out Adam-esque.
Well, I mean, yes, but like I didn't think he played so impatient where it should have ended up like that.
That kind of.
It just like.
Oh, go ahead.
It's like just how the matchup goes, I feel, sometimes. Just like, maybe not like that. It was a little too close this time.
That kind of goes into something I was thinking about. And Edwin, you got asked this question on your Monday Morning Marth mailbag. Shout out to that over on the Maze Stats website. And I feel like I didn't feel satisfied by your answer. Do you think it is, like, Falco is a character that's just more prone to getting upset than other top tiers?
I don't know.
It felt like you didn't answer the question.
No, because I don't. No. He's like top level, so it's hard to say.
He's like reverse Ices. That's what I always say. That like Ices are bad characters. They're bad characters, but because of wobbling, they're just able to sometimes win sets that arguably they may have should not win. You know. And that's just wobbling is that X factor, right? Now for Falco, this is the opposite. It's the fact that A, everybody knows how to fight against him at that level, and B, everybody knows how to get the fuck out of him at that level. So Falcos will often lose that arguably they should be winning against. It's kind of like the reverse aspect of that, where Ices often like upset players, and then Falcos will often be upset just because of the nature of their character. That is my theory.
All right, you guys want to know the galaxy brain take? I think you're on the right path, but I'm gonna go to the galaxy exploding like Falco. Sorry, give me a second. Falco players have the responsibility of determining who wins the game. Ice Climber players concede that responsibility to the opponent.
Yes, that's a good way of putting it.
That makes sense. That like Icy's players depend on the other player to play bad, is essentially.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, no.
They kind of do. I mean, I don't want to leave it in like that because there's obviously some really high IQ sync plays that go on into getting very specific wobble setup. But there's definitely like I got a knockdown and check chase. You're dead. Which is arguably what Marth does, but that's neither here nor there. But yeah. Oh yeah, speaking of upsets and ice climbers and stuff like that, Pudgy Panda beat my case.
Yeah, so this is one of the things I want to mention through the bracket. You look at winner side top 64, you see heavy hitters like HBox, Mango, Zane, Lucky. Then all of a sudden, like in winner side top 64, Pudgy Panda, let's go, beating Mike Hayes and beating Kaon. And if any of you have ever played a mid tier or like Ices,
I'm actually shocked he beat Kaon.
Yeah, like Mike Hayes, I could kind of see it happening, but Kaon, like that is not easy. My dude definitely dash dances on top platform. will aerial shine relentlessly, run away. That's
Yeah,
actually
playing
hella
against Kaon
impressive.
is like the most demotivational thing you can do as like a lower tier character.
Dude, I have a really funny story about Kaon. So Destroya, the San Diego Peach, played Kaon in bracket, okay? And after playing Kaon in bracket, he goes up to me and Mark Oates, who was staying with me at the event. And he goes, dude, I just had the most fun set with Kaon. And I was like, what do you mean you had the most fun set with Kaon? Like, he probably just camped you, right? Like, he just stood on top platform. And he was like, yeah, but I love playing against camping. It went like 5 minutes or something. It was just really fun coming up with counterplay because I knew what he was going to do. And it was very close, and I knew I could have won it, even though I lost. And I was just thinking in my head, like oh my God. Like, if I lost a 6-minute like game or just like a long set with Kaon at the last second, I would be so angry.
You know, have I ever told you this story? So there's like, okay, this is going slightly off topic, but I had a set with a local Puff player in my local, and this was Puff-Samus, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he was trying to camp me out on Fountain of Dreams, and he was doing a very good job of it.
Mm-hmm.
And last second,
A very good job of it.
What?
A very good job of it?
A very good job of it, you fuck. Anyway.
Sorry, go on.
a very good job of it. And it was like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And I F smashed him last second, and we tied at 53%.
Whoa.
But then, so obviously we were like, what the fuck do we do? So we just went with the classic thing where we did a one stock, a 1 minute timer, 2 minute timer, I forget which one. Okay. And then he timed me out in that. So ever since then, I've been really kind of like upset, and I've been actually, I feel like I've been advocating for a smaller and shorter timer just to put me out of my fucking misery when it comes to these sets. And as people like Kaon or Campy Puff players, like, God forbid the day I have to play Duty Side and bracket.
Oh, you're finished. You're done.
Yeah.
My man's got that Jiao practice in Zane. He's gonna.
Yeah. So actually, can we talk about like another random, like totally, this is a random set that honestly nobody should really care about, but honestly I was really surprised by this.
Go ahead.
I don't know how good Dreffen is against Ices, but he beat Boyd.
Those two team together, so I think they might. I can't say this.
Oh, is that true?
But,
oh, okay.
But it wouldn't surprise me if they were training partners or if they played together often. So.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Because I do remember Boyd as Ice Climbers that keeps on making AMSA ranked low in SSBM rank. So.
You mean MPGR?
Yeah, MPG. Oh yeah. Fuck. God, I hate that name so much. Dreffen usually beats Boyd? Oh, okay. I didn't know that. I guess that shows my...
He got Panda Global now.
Yeah. You got just everyone on this hit list so far.
I like when Kay is on the show, it's fun because it becomes the call-out show. I love it.
Okay. See, I don't want to be known for that. I'm just like saying what's on my mind. Anyway, so before we get to Zane, let's just like go over a little bit of surprises over the weekend that we might have had. So, Wizzrobe did not do very well. He got double Falcon, which hurts him because the Falcon matchup is one of those matchups for
where
we're not really sure where Zane lies at the moment, because like our only sets with him are like he beat None twice, which is obviously like very good, and then he but he's lost to Wizzrobe at close sets, and he went 2-1 with Smockers, but got destroyed. Mm-hmm. So none of us would be probably surprised if he played like another Falcon at that level and like wash him. But I don't think any of us would be surprised if he also got fucked by SK, right? So
yeah, I don't think the story's out yet on where Zane falls in that matchup.
Exactly. So with that in mind, I think it really hurts Wizzrobe to lose to None in winners and then lose to S2J in losers. if we're going to like compare him to Zayn, because his story is like slowly being wrote for him in that sense, and his record in that matchup is not consistent at the slightest.
Well, it's also difficult to tell because the Zane of today versus even the Zane back in January is different. Like the dude has skyrocketed so much in terms of development that it's hard to tell what sets like are meaningful and what sets aren't. So
yeah.
I don't know who was talking about this in the Discord, like about his meteoric rise. Like, yeah, pretty much exactly what you just said. Like, if ranking Zane for the year is weird because there's like 2 or 3 different Zanes in this small time period that we're basically trying to have to combine together and kind of parse where he's going to be. And then I guess some panelists might be ranking for the future. It might be really hard to place where he is. Speaking of that, where would you guys put Zane right now? Do you think he's above Wizzrobe? Do you think he's above Mango?
No.
Yeah,
no.
no.
I don't think he's above Mango yet. I would probably put him above Wizzrobe, but him and Mango is kind of is starting to when you account for recency trend. I think him and Mango, as far as their records against the fellow top 6 go, they're actually a lot closer than you would initially think.
Actually, if you can continue talking for a tiny bit, I can pull up the graphic.
Okay, yeah, let me keep going. Okay, so Zane has a Plup win on the year, which Mango, to be fair, does, but it was on his Samus and Fox, whereas Zane, I think having a win on Plup Sheik is very different, at least for the majority of their summit set. Zane I shouldn't say dominates because it's only 3 sets, but he hasn't lost against Mango this year and has beaten him all 3 times. He has the 2 Hungry Box wins, which is really big, depending on how you view Hungry Box for the year. Mm-hmm. Just in general, like his records against the top 6 are pretty similar to other people in the top 6, and if not better, outright better than Mango's. So it's at least become a discussion. Now, I don't think Zane's consistency. Now, I know this is going to sound weird because Mango just lost to Flipsy like 2 weeks ago or so, but like Mango's consistency against a field is still like pretty solid, whereas Zane does has losses. Like he's not invincible against the Swedish Delights and Ducks of the world. Like he can lose to Hugs and none of us are surprised.
I think the biggest thing, and I misspoke last week about Mango being inconsistent. I think the biggest thing that's important about like Mango and his records against the top 6 is that everyone besides Mewtwo King he has a win against, and that ability to have a shot against players I think is huge for ranking this period. Like when you see like Wizzy versus Mango, you can almost certainly write that off as he's not going to win. He's 0-16 against him or something. But when you see like Zane Leffen, or when you see Mango Plup or Mango Hungry Box, there's that ability to maybe make that is so important. At least
Agreed.
I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
And going...
Yeah.
go ahead, Kay.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. But the line is definitely being blurred more.
Yeah.
I think there's we're living in some future that maybe in the next few majors might have Zane have a better win H-box than Mango. Who knows?
That's insane.
Here's the other crazy thing. If Zane is more likely to be faced deep in bracket, that strangely kind of might help Axe, right?
So yeah, that's what I was gonna say. So here's a funny like, take on all of this. What would be a greater contribution to the Marth metagame? Zane upsetting H-box or Zane upsetting Axe? Because strangely enough,
yeah, go on. Sorry.
Strangely enough, I feel him upsetting Axe has always been way less likely than him upsetting H-box.
Okay, to be fair, I think since Zane's like rise to the top, he's only played Axe once, and he took the first game of their first set since Zane became a top level player, right? Mm-hmm. So I do think it's kind of funny how that's perceived, just because we've seen every other Marth player just get fucking destroyed.
I mean, it's not super uncommon for Axe to drop a game. Like the last time he faced the Moon, he went 3-1 against the Moon.
Yeah, fair enough. That's a good point.
So even like, and it's not like I find it hard to personally believe that Zane got better at the Pikachu matchup. At least the only way he's gotten better is like vicariously through other matchups, but I don't know how much he's actually labbed that matchup.
So it's funny you bring that up because Zane brought this up in an episode of the Forbidden podcast that we will not name here. That he actually, one of his training partners or people that he played with at either Virginia Tech or just in his local Smash scene was a Pikachu player. So but obviously that's not the same thing as playing someone of Axe's caliber. But at least it gives him some kind of foundation to work.
But he knows but the important thing is he knows what works.
Yeah,
and that can go a long way towards just knowing the intricacies of the show. When was the last time Axe lost to a Marth? I don't know, like fucking Taj.
he lost it in a money match. He lost to Tai like a year or 2 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, probably tie in some like random money match set, but in an actual like bracket thing,
it would have been 2013 against PPU.
Oh, okay. Got it.
When PPU
Really?
beat him,
2013?
I think NorCal Regionals or something. I forget. I think it's NorCal Regionals, but PPU did
I
beat him in
remember
2013 in Marth Pika.
Oh, really? Huh. Okay.
But their record was like so lopsided that you.
Yeah, because I remember like Axe got sent to losers at some Kings of Cali, and then he had PPU, and I was like, oh, I guess he's just getting top 8. So,
Yeah, so we're just
One thing. So I guess to answer your question, I'm gonna say Axe, and the reason I'm saying Axe is because Zane is really just doing what Kadana wrote about like 5 years ago, a little bit more, and Axe, as far as I am aware of, at least. Maybe my knowledge of old Smashboards posts is very out of date, but the biggest theory crafter of Marth Pika publicly has been Sechi. Shout out to Adam Farmer's YouTube channel.
Let's go, Sechi. My
Who is not a
favorite
Marth
European player besides Leffen.
Big time melee nerd. Love his stuff.
Hot take number 2 by Chrono Aquarium. Yeah, honestly, at that point, I don't even think that's a hot take. I think okay, who do you think he beats first, Armada or Axe?
I think he beats Axe first. Armada is
really
that's such a hard out.
You want? I'm willing to like fake bet money on this that he beats Armada before he beats Axe.
Really? What makes you think that he's gonna? Do you think the Marth Pikachu matchup is that bad?
No, I think the Marth Peach matchup is that bad. And I think that there's material out there for Zane to study.
We're losing you.
He's saying there's material we can study.
Be done in like recent years and is matchup.
Oh no.
Even as I don't know. I don't know how much I can. Oh, wait, what happened?
You roboted out. We
Oh,
missed
me?
like all of that.
Oh, okay. Okay. Up until what point did you?
Pretty much when you started talking about the matchup, or
Oh, great.
Zane's future.
See, I wish I had an Ethernet cord in here, but I don't. That sucks. Anyway.
I think I heard what you were saying something about that with Armada. He has tape to study, and then
he has stuff to study. He's good at the matchup. He's shown records that he's like competent against Peaches that he's played, specifically Lod. So, I mean, the nice thing about Zane is that about players like Zane and Amsa and people in the echelon is that the rate of improvement is extremely fast because of their very talented and remarkable ability to extract from sets and improve on them, and then on their next encounter. And if there's and Zane is like the perfect example of this besides Amsa, and I believe that will reflect more effectively against Armada than it will for Axe. It's just my reason for it.
So, Edwin, do you also think that having this footage to go off of is very important for improving as a matchup? Would you say, would you say having footage against a player is more important than having like a mid-level or like PR ranked player of that character to practice against?
It depends. I think the importance of having a set to study with isn't just the fact that you have stuff that you borrow from, but it's also the fact, it's the message that the fact that the set exists sends a message in itself, because confidence plays a very important factor in sets, and knowing that it's possible, especially arguably for Zane, who's arguably not that far off from M2K at this point when it comes to the relative skill level of Marth, that the fact that exists means that it's within the realm of possibility, and confidence plays a very important factor when it comes to approaching sets, in my opinion.
Yeah.
As much as Edwin.
Yeah. What do you think about that, Edwin?
Okay, as a Marth player here, I just feel like I should. Okay. I think all of what you're saying is pretty valid, Kay, and I can see why you think that, and I don't really
smell a butt coming.
No, I don't really strongly disagree. I just think Armada is that much of a better player than that.
What do you mean by that? The Armada is that much of a better player that he'll beat Axe first? That Armada will be able to hold his ground?
As an Axis player versus players, like his actual ability as a player, I don't think is as anywhere close to Armada yet. Or I think it's significantly far behind Armada.
See, I would actually be a lot more excited if Zane beat Axe, because I think that would be very historic in that matchup for that character, since everybody's always saying how like shitty that matchup is for Marth. It's just based on history, based on what we have there, and my faith in Axe as a whole. I just, it's hard for me to see. If there's any Marth player that could do it, it would definitely be Zane. But
yeah, I think it's very unlikely right now. But maybe I'm just revering Armada too much.
I think it's unlikely for him to be both players right now. But in a couple months.
You really don't think if he beat Armada, like Axe win would come right with it, or vice versa? Well, I wouldn't say an Axe win automatically leads to Armada win, but I think if you're in your kind of, you said how confidence plays a big part of it. I think that confidence gotten by beating Armada would play into taking that. But I mean, we saw that happen with Swedish, and Swedish lost to Mike Hayes, so it's like that confidence didn't help him. But it might be like a player-to-player kind of thing.
Yeah, and Leshen brings up like the good point, which is like when you were bringing up earlier comparing like an actual set to like an actual practice partner. I think it's actually kind of difficult to really find the value in it, because it depends on the type of player and what kind of practice they're able to get the most out of. And I don't know what type Zane is at the moment. Because for example, HBox gets a lot of valuable practice from practice crunch, and he's obviously nowhere near the same level as like a lot of the other foxes that he's capable of beating. So I mean, practicing definitely goes a long way with it, and Zane doesn't really have anyone to practice with outside of net play, so yeah, that's just another factor.
And kind of speaking on, you're saying how about Pikachu and Marth being like a very, this has been set in stone for a while and it might be changing soon. We had a lot of Puffs in the top 64, and some people's opinions about Puff, maybe where they stand and how good of a character they are, has also begun to change. If either of you guys would want to take that and run with it or kind of discuss the Puffs.
Edwin, go right now, top 5 characters. Right now.
Oh, you want me to start with top 5 characters in the game right now?
I feel like this would be a good segue in how the community and how we feel like Puff is kind of like rising or falling or whatever you want to kind of like top 5 characters, because you can't talk about Puff without talking about maybe how other characters have fallen. So I feel like the top 5 characters just, you know what I mean?
Okay, I guess my quick answer would be, you know, I think by results, like it would be hard to not say Puff is number 1, but out of good faith, I'll put Fox number 1 because I don't want to see melee rules by Jigglypuff.
Oof, get ready for people on Twitter roasting you for that one.
Oh no! No, I think Fox is 1, but I acknowledge that a lot of it is out of good faith, that I think there's solutions to what Jigglypuff can do. And maybe Armada's dominant record against Hungrybox this year so far gives me hope that the other Foxes can soon follow suit. And so I'd say Fox number 1, I'd probably say Puff 2, but I wouldn't really contest if people had Puff number 1. And I think number 3, 4, and 5 would be Marth, Sheik, and Falco, probably in that order.
Oh, well, I just made a list real quick while you're doing that. It's literally the exact same list.
I would actually switch Marth and Puff.
Yeah, I don't have any problems.
Yeah, no, that seems fair. Like,
yeah, but other than that, that's about the same as I have.
But again,
Except
I might.
I'm
It's very
I'm
easy to knee-jerk react to things in the current metagame. So, which is why I struggled to say that Puff is number one, but I do think that she has a great argument even outside of results to be number one, just by virtue of her matchup spread being quite favorable.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to talk in particular?
And so,
go ahead. Yeah, no, I like this discussion. Continue.
So, I mean, it wasn't that long. So, a lot of people, when discussing like tier lists and stuff like that, they often use character appearance as sort of as a baseline of reasoning about where characters stand at the. And personally, I've never been like a huge advocate of that, just because the mid-20 range has been kind of littered with Falcons to the point that doesn't really reflect the tier list that well, because he's clearly not as good as like a lot of the characters that kind of take up that same level as well, that he kind of outnumbers. Like Puff, for example. That being said, one of the biggest counter arguments against Puff has been like, we don't really see any other player other than Hungry Box during.
Yeah, but now that's changed.
Yeah,
that has been changing. It's taken a few years, because we've seen a lot of Puff players like kind of hover around that 100 border for the past few years, like going back as far as 2015. But like a lot of these players are now reaching that point where they're making like a visible dent on everyone.
Almost got the Nightmare Run prediction correct from Melee's very, very own Darth Jerry taking Plup to Game 5 and forcing him off Saddest. Jerry's just the greatest player in the world. We're going to come to accept it soon.
Jerry. I mean, if there's any argument that is more demoralizing in this world, it's Jerry. Just uttering his name is just like, oh my, what
He's living the dream. So many people look at Puff and they're like, this character is so stupid. Look at all her strengths. You could literally pick her as the easy character if you really wanted to kill Melee and see success. Jerry is living that power fantasy, dude. He's like, yeah, I don't give a shit. I'm playing Puff because I think she's easier, and I don't even care about Melee. I'm going to practice DBFC. And look at him, dude.
And like beat actual good players while I'm at it, while I'm like beating SFAT.
I'm down for it, dude. He's proving the point.
How much do you guys lean into the Puff killing Melee? Do you think it'll actually, if a lot of more people start playing Puff, do you think it'll actually hurt the scene and or viewership numbers?
Nah.
Okay.
Unless
Puff has been killing local scenes
finally
for years.
Unveils his extreme camping strategy that apparently the rest of Europe doesn't have an answer to.
Yeah, the thing you have to understand is that Puff has been killing local scenes for years, and the fact that Melee isn't dead yet, I think, speaks a lot.
Dude, Puff is so good.
Yeah.
She's such a sick. I shouldn't even say she's such an amazing character.
Puff is really fun.
We have to acknowledge our limits in talking about this. Like, hey, you and I are people that like will probably make it out of round one. We'll make it out of pools at events. So that does kind of.
I'm flattered that you say that.
and say we already talked about the Falco struggle.
Yeah.
Major.
Well,
we do have to acknowledge our limits in talking about this.
And kind of, we're still waiting for the results to come back. I mean, seeing all these Puffs coming through, it's a big step in kind of learning more about where Puff actually falls. What you got, Edwin?
All right. Save, you're running the questions this week, but I want to ask one really quickly to you guys. And I think this got brought up in the podcast server last night, but to the people watching at home, 10v10, Team Puff versus Team Fox. I want to see that happen somewhere.
All right, next question. So, talking about
Edwin starts the speed round with -1 point.
I want to see Jerry tear through Team Fox. It's like killing the Jedi children.
I don't.
It's because there's. Okay, see, there's no way we can come out of this as a winner, though. There's no way we can come out of this as a winner, though. Just like if the Foxes win,
Yeah, if the fox does up, then we just look really stupid.
Yeah, everybody looks stupid. Everybody looks like we're just whining about this fucking character. Like, this really good character. Like, if they beat them, it's like, what the fuck are we even making a big deal out of? But if the Puffs win, it's going to be the ugliest melee you've ever seen in your life. I don't want this set to happen.
I really want this to happen, yeah.
If SFAT sees Jerry, if SFAT beats like, I don't know, I can't even think of top 10 buffs that like Dudusai or something.
Yeah.
If he beats like Tech and then sees Jerry sit down on the setup next to him, his heart is gonna be like pumped.
Fucking like shout outs to all the Puff mains this weekend that poured their heart out and played at Shine with 1 billion Puff Dittos.
Yeah, dude, Toussaint.
Yeah, shout outs to Legend for beating the second best Puff in the world.
And then immediately being rewarded by playing SFAT and then having to play Absent and Page and Losers because another Jigglypuff 42nd beat Absent.
Yeah. Holy shit. Like, can we talk about 42nd? Like, 42nd and Jerry have been systematically ruining brackets for everyone else.
I love it. I'm down for it, dude. No, it's actually kind of terrifying, but it's pretty funny.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Also, I want to mention one other thing about Team Fox. Team Fox, for the sake of argument, doesn't have Armada, Mango, or Plup, or Mewtwo King.
Okay, all right.
In this scenario.
Even so, like just by like rank numbers, not by skill level, it's so weird how like the Puff drop off is so hard by number, and the Fox one kind of stays, but it's still like it could go either way, and it's.
I don't even think it's too far off. Like 42nd might have what, like a top. Actually, I should look at the data before I say something like this. Yeah. But 42nd does have a real on Pika's rankings. Pika considered putting 42nd top 50.
Yeah, I think we're gonna see a ton of Puffs in the top 100 this year.
I'm so happy she dies early, dude.
If she didn't die early, this game would have been dead a long time ago.
And kind of circling back, speaking of someone who got puffed a couple weeks ago, who kind of had an iffy. Oh wait, nope, I read my list wrong. Never mind. Actually, we can talk about SFAT Gahtzu, because SFAT got puffed.
Oh yeah,
can I mention my favorite part of SFAT Gahtzu the entire set?
The last game.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's something in the last game, but okay. Well, before I mention that, this is a really awesome moment for Gahtzu. He's been around, like, always consistently one of the, like, in the top half of top 100 or so, but he's never had like his big major performance. He's grabbed a few good wins every now and then, but this was his first major top 8, and it's super sick to see him do well. He's always been like that Captain Falcon that I thought was really well balanced. He's like a guy that has a B+ in every trait as a Captain Falcon player, but this was like his first really big national showing, so it was super dope to see him do well. Now, my favorite part of the set against SFAT was when mid 4-stock against SFAT, he loses his stock, so he doesn't get 4-stock, right? He grabs SFAT by the ledge, starts down throwing him over and over again. The crowd is going wild.
What was going to happen?
And he gets like the 3rd regrab or something. And everybody and their mother knows in the audience what Gahtzu is going to go for.
Yeah, everybody knew. And he still went for it.
Yeah, he still went for it for the fans. He dropped on me and missed and looked like the dumbest person.
Not only that, but it was just like, it was also going to be like the dumbest misplay because he might have lost it.
Yeah, I was telling Darktooth was sitting next to me, and then when we were watching the game, I turned to Darktooth and I just said, Gahtzu's losing this game. I can already feel it in my bones.
I was going to be so depressed if Gahtzu lost that. I hate reverse 4-stocks, dude.
Dude, did you see Gahtzu Army also, the rematch?
No, I didn't. What happened?
Go,
yeah. He whooped him in he lost a game 5 set in winners, but in losers he destroyed Army. It was super sick.
Oh yeah.
So shout out to Gahtzu, great event, good major top 8 from him.
Do you guys have anything else? Shroom, you want to talk about Shroom's performance coming out of nowhere?
Yeah, Shroom been struggling for a while. Finally gets a slew of 3 impressive victories. Pew Pew, None, and the third. Oh, and KJH.
Okay, in Shroom's credit, can we just like shout him out for just making like the most stressful bracket of all time, where literally everything he did was a game 5 set.
Yeah, he almost lost to Moki, dude. I saw that.
Yeah,
He
game
actually
5 Moki,
should've
game
had
5
that.
Drunk Sloth, game 5 PPU, game 5 KJH, 3-0 none.
That's so weird. Yeah.
I believe
That's
that
weird.
a good friend of a member of the Forbidden podcast wrote a blurb about Shroomed for his MPGR section or whatever, right?
It was a
And he said
Pikachu?
that Shroomed, you needed to find, or he needed to find his clutch again, or some shit like that, right?
Oh, yeah.
Was
There's
that
never time
Pikachu?
to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, so he showed it this
Yeah.
tournament.
Yeah.
He reversed 3-0 Drunk Sloth also.
Mhm.
Drunk Sloth could have easily won that set.
Icy's taking the L on being reverse, like whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Kalamazhu did hella well as well.
Ooh, thanks for reminding me. I have to update the fantasy scoring. I wonder if I had Kalamazhu on my fantasy
man.
team.
So
I think I might. Oh wait, I just realized I had Zane on my fantasy team also.
Oh,
So I'm gonna my
no.
first
Oh yeah,
place
you
lead.
fucking
is-
tool.
My first place lead in the Melee Stats Fantasy League is gonna be so sick.
Damn.
Say,
So,
do you have
no,
a link to the Excel sheet by any chance?
I think I should be able to find that without going through Discord.
Me?
I'm
I'm not part of the fantasy.
I'm starting to get like dick now that Hungerbox sucks, or it's relatively. I was
Not just that, but also like the higher placings matter less than they did in the first half scoring system. So you got some West Balls, La Luna, Ginger. You boys are making save.
All right. So do people know what we're talking about?
I'm pulling
No,
it
we've
up
mentioned
right
on
now,
the
yeah.
podcast a few times.
Oh, okay. All right.
I might do a write-up about it at the end of the year because I wanted to do one last year, but we didn't complete the league. Whereas this year, I think I still have to do the shine scoring, but the top 4 is actually like, pretty good.
Yeah.
Andy's team was
PRZ had the bracket of his life.
Oh man.
Yeah, he just got real kind of lucky matchups to get like 13 or 17.
I wanted to mention one last thing, by the way. Obviously, the elephant in the room about Shine was that Crush was not in attendance, which does kind of suck for New England. And I know that I don't want to go into too much detail, but I know that he wanted to take a break from Melee for a while. But in his absence, Kalvar had a great performance, getting 25th and even beating Bladewise. He lost to JoJo early in pools and winners bracket, but Kalvar, shout out to him. That dude has been to so many tournaments this year, whether it's regionals, whether it's nationals, and Bladewise is probably one of his best victories. And he's just been consistently out here, really grinding, working hard. Uncle punched out of his mind, if you want to call it.
I like his Twitter because it's like him about how like when like 6 setups are happening at the stream, he's complaining why there are no setups available.
Yeah, no, he's a big time.
And I feel like in some way that's pretty reflective about what his work ethic compared to most other players.
Yeah, he's just been, and obviously like Kalvar isn't without his faults as a player. Like he definitely kind of complained about not being able to keep up with Fox. And when
Lost
we had
to my
Team
boy
Evo, which I
S
was like,
Royale. Let's go.
he's good at so many of the other matchups as well. Like a lot of the other matches that Marth's typically on.
Oh shit! Save. You may not want to hear this from me, but I forgot to turn off ad block.
Man,
forgot to turn on the what?
How am I gonna get that 10th of a penny from you?
Cause like I switched to ad blocks, like so I forgot to whitelist the. Oh fuck, Jesus.
Man. I could have a whole hour-long conversation while I'm anti-ad block, but
I think that about covers Shine.
No, that's totally reasonable. Hold on, let me just disable that real quick. I thought I disabled it, but I guess not. Fuck.
We're doing this.
I was gonna say before we do that, do we want to touch on Puff-Samus at all? And we were talking in the pre-show about like Plup's mindset and everything.
Well, first of all, he lied to us.
Yeah, he didn't go all Saint. The thought
Yeah.
of losing to Jerry was too much for him to.
Yeah, and it was just like JK. I don't feel like losing to Mango as, and I wanted to see it. I really wanted to see it, and I feel like I'm not the only one. I guess I can't force him to.
Yeah, I think what he did was a fair compromise. And kind of talking more in his mentality, I think this is probably really good for him. I mean, not trying to psychoanalyze too much, that he got to play at this highest level without like this pushing pressure that we want to see Plup win. Like, obviously still want to see Plup win, but he got this experience again playing at the top level while not having that full weight of the pressure on. I think that's a good after his panic attack at Evo. I think that's really good for kind of working his way back in, if that makes any sense. I'm not trying to psychoanalyze too much.
Yeah, no, that's fair view, and it's Plup's free to do what he wants. He's under no obligation to really like. We as fans have the right to think to ourselves something along the lines of, "Man, I wish Plup won Cheek." Like we could see him as potential, but considering what he went through earlier in the month, he has a right to do what he wants in the event.
He has a duty to beat S1E21. I refuse to let him retire his Samus until that happens. Refuse.
S1's so good in that match. If he makes it,
why did I?
So is that it for Shine? Are we gonna move into the?
I feel like I'm forgetting. Okay. So here's some potential players we can talk about. Slox, Bladewise, Ginger, Laluna, Dreffin, and Moki. Those are some characters players that we can like talk about, because those people have kind of had interesting storylines in the past few weeks.
I feel like it's kind of like that 26 to 50 conglomerate where it's a roller coaster with a lot of them. So that's like we could go into detail on each of them like individually if you really wanted to, but I feel like that would just take a.
Yeah, we don't have to. I feel like I guess not, because I feel like I'd probably be repeating the thing that I say about Kalamazhu every time, where he just like does surprisingly well.
Mm-hmm. The combo video thing with Kalamazhu.
Yeah. To reiterate how does Practical Task want me to say this?
If the answer is no, say it anyway.
Okay, all right. No. He was just saying that because when SSBM rank was happening a while ago, he was trying to make a combo video per each character that was there, and he got to Kalamazhu and was like, "Is Kalamazhu just the ultimate execution test? Why can't I find like any cool clips of him?" I was like, "Damn." And I mean, I've always been a huge Kalamazhu fan. This is legendary Big House 4 run. So I've never had a beef with that guy. I just love it when he does well. Yeah. Laluna loses to Peach again. Ginger loses to everyone again.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
No, it's the facts. I'm the biggest Ginger fanboy, and Ginger's falling off.
Yeah, I mean... Yeah.
I don't want to beat up on...
Yeah, no.
But... He did lose to Dreffin. I didn't expect that, to be honest with you. And then, I mean, he looked pretty good against Dreffin, so I don't know what to say about that, really. Yeah, I guess, and then Moki really trying to up to his legacy that he did in Genesis, but he's been going through a few rough tournaments, but has also gotten some good results. I guess I'm not really saying
I want to mention one thing super quickly, by the way. Sorry, just because we're on the topic of Shine, I feel like this is sort of, and maybe like it's not really our place to comment more on this sort of thing. But I will say that as an attendee at the event, the mood on Sunday was pretty somber for the second half because of the shooting in Jacksonville, and when obviously when that happened. Sorry, I just feel like this has to be.
No, it's fair.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Go ahead, Edwin.
And definitely, like, attendee safety is a problem. But I want to mention one thing in particular. It's good that there's a lot of discussion around like ways to. There was a lot of discussion around ways to circumvent it or ways around it. Like that idea of bag checks and security was one thing that was brought up so many times. And we don't have to go too much in the details because I have pretty strong views on the stuff. And if any of you are curious, like, you can check out my Twitter about it. But long story short, this is kind of an issue that's bigger than gaming, and I just want to get out of the way that it does suck that like this is supposed to be a place that we see as an escape from the real world, and that like it hits especially harder because we realize that it's not absent from the real world.
Yeah. And
maybe we should be this worried and furious and impassioned like the whole time. But I shout out to the Big Blue Esports staff and Beyond the Summit staff for actually organizing a moment of silence on Sunday, which was like, I'm like getting I don't really know how to explain it well because I'm sort of mumbling or stumbling over my words, but it was actually one of the most like sincere and touching moments. It was kind of funny early on because everyone was quiet in the crowd, but there were people in the back who didn't hear she call for the moment of silence. So like there was a moment of silence, like everyone in the crowd, but in the back you could hear a few friendly setups, and like event staff was going around telling people, and people were walking forward. But then suddenly you hear like a "Let's go, Mango!" in the back, and like
No, there. Toussaint says there was someone who said "Let's go HBox."
I heard "Let's go, Mango," but I heard other people heard "Let's go HBox" as well. But yeah, that was it was still like by the end, everybody walked forward. And let me tell you, as a former local tournament organizer, it's not easy to get a room of like 30 or 40 people to shut up or play their matches. Like for the event staff at Shine to get like a convention of how many, like hundreds of thousands of people to actually like come forward for this moment. And I looked around me, like people were tearing up. It was very emotional, etc. And I just wanted to mention that on the show because it was nice that the Shine staff did that, and I really do appreciate it.
All right.
Yeah. I don't think we can directly transition from that into the Melee Stat speedrun, even though I do think that was really important to say. We didn't touch on it, though, Edwin. If you'd want to kind of talk about your weekend at Shine, like your experience at the actual event itself, because you were there.
Yeah. How much fun did you have without me? I couldn't go. It was the opening weekend for school, so I had to put my duties elsewhere.
Yeah. As for the actual event itself, obviously it's in my backyard in Boston and everything. So I was really happy to go represent the sort of like be in New England or whatever. If you're going there to play, then it's incredible. You get bracket matches. You can join lane bracket if you want. There's so many friendly setups. Like you can money match, you can talk to people. The venue is massive, so you never really feel cramped. So if your goal is to go there and play as many games as Melee as possible, I think it's pretty fantastic of an experience. And I would say it's fantastic overall. But if you're not the kind of person that can marathon Melee and you want to sort of go there and have fun, drink, party, do other activities or whatever, you do have the option to do that, but they're fairly expensive. And late in Boston, it's kind of dry. So like for me, I went to Shine with the expectation that I was going to marathon a lot of playing, but I realized that I wasn't exactly like that. So I wanted to look around for more fun activities to do. And obviously, like the food was really expensive, but I thought it was worth it. I know other people may not necessarily agree with that if they want to be more frugal. And as far as degenning it up, for lack of a better term, it offers nowhere near the amount of options as somewhere like, say, Vegas. So in that sense, like my Saturday, though I definitely had more than a fun time for portions of it, I remember feeling a little slightly disappointed in this, like near the end of the day, because I thought people would go to bars, or I thought like we would purchase alcohol late when the venue closed and go back to hotel rooms and everything, but it didn't end up being
damn, we have to be responsible instead. Shit.
It's a Saturday. I'm not trying to be responsible. I'm trying to be a moron.
Well, it's actually funny that you mention it, because I remember there was like a European that there's a European that MVP in bracket.
Oh no!
I don't remember his tag, and I don't feel like bringing it up specifically because I'm not trying to blow up this guy. But he was like, I think it was kind of like an interesting thing, because he was like, this was the weekend after Air, and a lot of people came out of Air saying this was an amazing tournament. This like Air was the kind of tournament that kind of brought you back, right? While still kind of keeping that feel of just not having the negatives of like a 2008, right? And you got to play. They had a very unorthodox bracket format, which allowed for a greater number of players to play matches. And at that point, it becomes an interesting argument if of like what tournaments should try to accommodate to do, because like a lot of European players were arguing that a lot of these kind of bracket pool setups maybe kind of back having more matches that either waterfall or whatever format that Air had, and it's just interesting how, because like we're always looking about how majors can improve from one another, because God knows how fucking expensive majors.
Yeah,
it's all about kind of trying to make your money's worth, because it's starting to be like a kind of absurd expenditure. So kind of like if you ask Ambi, and to an extent I kind of agree with him, is that like people like Ambi would say that round robin pools can be a little hazy, because there are a certain point where a lot of matches become
pointless. I think I see where he's getting at.
Yeah.
Zamu touched upon this when we played when we played friendlies. We talked about why round robin kind of sucked as far as competitive formats go.
And kind of like a bigger view, I really think there's like a different kind of tournament for each person. Like maybe someone who doesn't want to degen and wants to grind, say like an up-and-coming Zane would prefer Shine over Air. They don't want drunk people stumbling around while they're trying to play their money matches or friendlies. I think it's a kind of teach their own kind of thing. And I think your nice little Yelp review of Shine really kind of explains what
I think my Yelp review was just fine.
Yeah, that's like you gave it like a 4.5.
I would say around that. I think a lot of my some of the negative feelings I felt on Sunday were, I think I can attribute some of it to the news and everything. So I can understand why that. But as far as things that were under the event's control, I would highly recommend people going to it. Just don't look for the degen experience. Mm-hmm. That's what you're to. Or if you're not the kind of person that just marathon games, then it can be a little exhausting.
Yeah. I think that's fair. Hopefully we'll get Kay back sometime soon so we can start the speed round.
Yeah, Kay's frozen right now. This usually isn't a thing on our...
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Oh, no. Did Kay just disappear? Oh boy.
Well, Edwin Budding wins the first ever SaveAsUntitled Melee Stats speed round. Oh, wait, no. Is he back?
I get my minute.
Are you back, Kay?
All right.
I think we got the gist of what you were saying with round robin.
All right.
Zane and I talked about this at the event. And why round robin
boys ready for the first ever SaveAsUntitled led Melee Stat speed round? The rules are exactly the same. We got.
I've never done one of these before.
Okay, so basically, I'm gonna flip a coin. Heads or tails, KayB?
Tails.
All right, so do you want to go first the first round, or do you want to go second?
I'll go second. I'll let Edwin do the honor.
Okay, so you guys are going to swap back and forth going first each round, so no one gets the advantage for that. But basically, I'm going to ask 5 questions that are progressively going to get a little bit wilder as we go on, and I'm going to grade you as we go along and see who gives the better answer. Are you guys ready?
So just to double check, I'm starting off with this?
Yeah.
Wait. So we're both giving an answer to the same question?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, but you're switching off so someone gets more time to prepare every other time. So Edwin, starting off first with round 1, and it's supposed to be about a minute, so maybe 30 seconds each. First question: who will beat Armada first, Zane or Wizzrobe?
I think Zane will do it first. They're both about the same matchup. I think Zane's a better player, and his trajectory is a little higher right now. Wizzy's kind of been stagnant for a little bit. Both have won tournaments over Hungrybox, but Zane has beaten Plup. He's beaten Mega, which is something Wizzy still hasn't done, and just overall looks better right now. But it's close.
And Kay, what do you think?
Wizzrobe, no reason.
I respect it.
I mean, it's just like he went game 5 and then once, and that's like enough. Maybe that's probably possible.
Right.
And I don't know. There's nothing.
So
it's not really enough for me to exchange.
Yeah, you kind of rocking a hard place. Second answer, fun. Edwin obviously gets the points there because his answer was better. Point blank. Second question, Kay, you're starting off this time. I
spoke from my heart.
Well, I don't give a shit about your heart.
Yeah, I probably would have given Kay the point.
Yeah. No. So, second question: who has the best Twitter in Melee?
Wait, can you repeat the question again? My internet's getting
Okay.
again.
Who has the best Twitter in Melee for whatever reason you want to say, or who?
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Oh no.
Wait, can you give me a second? Oh, fuck.
That's not how the speed round works. It's in
God. Well, okay.
It's taking too long. I'm gonna go full alpha male on this and answer.
Okay, Existential Wizzrobe is one of my favorite ones, but he's kind of like a meme account, so that doesn't count. I do like Ambi's account, to be honest. It's like, because it's like a mix of like negative but funny memes.
Ambi's account may be great, but I'm going to bring up the real hero of Melee Twitter, which is
Don't say Narodero.
and
Do
Bitches
not
Institute
say
at We Rate Eric. This account is the most devoted fan club account I have ever seen in my life. From Ambi Sisters to Am Brothers to Ambi Sibbies. It's very inclusive. It's a great environment. It's all positive. It helps a friend of mine. And really, that's what it's about, the power of friendship.
Yeah, I love how that Twitter account highlighted that Eric got 193rd in Shy.
Yeah, my favorite part was mentioning a disappointing result relative to what Eric thought or Ambi thought he was going to get. But shout out to Ambi. Shout out to the We Rate Eric, the true #1 Twitter.
No, okay, I'd like to change my answer. It's absent page. Have you seen that guy's Twitter? Do you understand the power that acid has over your play? That is like 1-up over.
That's terrible.
I'm taking LSD.
The dude had like Sonic as a profile picture or some shit. I can't believe it.
No, I gotta give the point to Kay. Absent Page's Twitter is too dumb.
No, like,
Absent Page over Eric, whatever, dude.
No,
I'm
like,
staying
can
with
you
my
just imagine, like, we're gonna get to a point where like top 10 players are just saying drugs about this person.
Oh man, okay. Absent Page, you're playing to the host. Smart. All right, Edwin, you're back up first. Give me your 30-second summit theme pitch. What do you think would be an interesting summit theme? What do you got? You're running out of time.
Oh, fuck my internet.
It's not the stupidest summit theme pitch.
Well, you're not going to be able to give it if you don't.
I couldn't hear it.
It's just a Halo summit theme pitch. You have people dressed up as like the Master Chief, the Arbiter. It's just a completely different game than Nintendo.
Wait. What was there? What was the question? I didn't hear it because
I think Edwin's either having a heart attack or he's done giving his answer. The question was your 30-second summit theme pitch.
Oh, it's totally sci-fi. Like totally.
Oh, it's
like,
an actual.
Yeah, no, because like if you're just going down through the list, like sci-fi, you could just go full in either sci-fi or horror. Like that would be great if it was horror. Horror is actually great.
No, okay, I'll give an actual answer for this.
No, fuck off. Your turn is over. You shut your mouth.
Mute. No one can hear you. You're muted.
So horror is actually like a great horror is a great answer because you could do some potentially hilarious skits with horror. And I think depending on the people who are invited, you could like, especially if you could. Maybe I shouldn't say this, but like.
No, I think I know where you're going. Please finish this thought.
No, I don't think you know where I'm going because it's like totally out of left field. But like, what if like Shroom got invited and it just made the room all dark and just use that to your head?
You see the tears?
That's kind of messed up.
No. Hold on. No. Hear me out. In CEO, one of the openings, if you know the Street Fighter player Diamond.
Oh god, no.
He's a black player.
Oh no.
For his opening.
Are we gonna
top
allow
8?
racism?
Oh no. All right.
No, Edwin. let me hear this out. Entrance for Dominion that he did was that he let the room go dark, and then he appeared in front of Bonchan when the lights went up. And I think that was one of the most brilliant entrances that has ever been done. I'm just taking inspiration of that.
I'll give Kay the point for his legitimate answer about sci-fi. I think that's really good. Edwin, if you weren't laughing through your entire explanation, I think you could have got it.
I think, so in my defense, the only reason I thought of Halo is because for some reason I thought of the Master Chief and uncontrollably started laughing, and I don't regret it. But I do understand why Kay won the point that round.
No, you would have had it, Edwin. You just
I didn't know we were
something.
Competing.
No, we always do this.
Oh, okay, all right.
Okay, all right. So next question. So Kay, you're starting. Which person who has previously appeared on a show remembers the least about the last major they attended? It could be a guest we've had, a regular guest. Who remembers the least about the last major?
I can tell you who it's not. You mean like before the podcast that we had with them, or just like recently?
Just what the last major they probably went to.
Okay, now I need to remember who we had in the show.
You can have to move faster than that, Kay.
It's not Aiden because of that Reddit thread, I'll tell you that much. You know, you got me. I don't have an answer.
I'm gonna say Swedish Delight. My man is a big.
Oh, that's a good answer.
My man
that's
is
a good answer.
Partier. My dude definitely popped off and cared more about other games this weekend than he did about his own Melee experience. He was watching the international and everything. He's a big partier. My man, when he's done at majors, when he gets knocked out at bracket, he loves having a great time. He goes out and everything. I think he's the easy pick on this one.
Oh, I thought you were talking about alcohol. I thought you were talking about who just like plays with the least amount of brain.
No. You could have taken it that way. All right, so I think Edwin gets the point for giving an answer. The save is untitled point. I'll call that. And then the last one, which I could have come up with a better question, and this is the weirdest one. What kind of going to Edwin's panel this weekend? If Professor Edwin Budding taught a college course, what would it be?
I'm the first person answering this, right?
What would the
Okay, see, that's not fair. That's him.
Okay, so in all seriousness, one of my dreams growing up was to be a sports writer.
He's telling his life story. How the fuck is this
about the importance of competition and the themes that it's for, the importance of writing the ethics in sports journalism, the relationship between sports journalism as a whole and the industry of sports, sort of its place. And one thing I've noticed with Smash in particular is that we're not quite established yet. So many people wear multiple hats. Our most prominent journalists.
You're running out of time.
Our most promising journalists are leaders, and I would want to teach a class on esports journalism, ideally, if my books ever sold that well.
All right, Kay, what you got? You literally just have to insult Edwin and you win.
Look, I just don't want to burn any bridges right now. Look,
I spent the entire show burning bridges.
See, I mean.
Oh no, okay, you're running out of time.
He could definitely teach a class on mentorship, you know, with guiding those that have worked under him in order to do his bidding for him.
I'm gonna hit you with that buzzer and very sadly give Edwin his first Melee Stats speed round win. All right, you guys.
Are you sure? Are we not giving it to how his wondrous coaching of Pika has led him to new heights?
His new achievement
is on flames into the impact of the Melee scene.
Oh, he's been killing it on Twitter. So, Edwin, you have your minute. What do you want to do with your time?
See, this was rigged. Like, what kind of last question was that? That set me to fail.
First off, I want to just talk about. I want to regale you guys with a really funny story, and a lot of you have told you this in person. But so it's the third day of Shine, or the second day. I think it's actually the second day. I don't remember. It's hazy. So Ambi Sinister, one of my best friends, and I, shout out to Ambi, are sitting at a setup playing a game of My Fox against Ambi Sinister's Jigglypuff. Rocky is walking around. He's got to play Adam-esque left. He's hunting for setups. He's looking for Jigglypuffs. He's got to get ready for bracket. Suddenly, he sees me and Ambi playing the shittiest game of Fox versus Jigglypuff in my life. I get up throw arrested like 4 times and still win the game. So somehow,
okay, fine. You know what class?
Hey, this is my minute, okay?
Mute.
So he sits down, and I recognize who he is, and I'm like, oh shit, it's Rocky. And he goes, can I play with you guys? Because he's definitely looking for pup practice. and I go, sure, dude. And Ambi asks him, what's your tag? And he goes, oh, I'm Rocky. And Ambi's like, oh, okay. So I look at the character selection screen. My cursor is on Fox right now, and Rocky picks his Falco, right? And I'm thinking to myself, like, not entirely sober. I'm like, I'm not going to waste this guy's time with my fucking shitty Fox secondary. I'm going to get destroyed. I don't get that many opportunities to play world-class players, so I'm going to play my main. I pick Marth. We select a random stage. We go FD.
Oh, no.
I chain grab him for 4 stocks in a row and just circle camp him the whole game. He goes right, I go left. He goes left, I go right. I'm getting him near the corner with the dumbest grabs you've ever seen in your life. I win the game. At the end of our game, a TO goes up to him and says, hey, Rocky, you got to play your match. Good luck. And he looks at me and Ambi just really confused. He's like, good games, I guess. He gets up and walks away. Ambi and I just like bashfully look at each other. And Ambi looks at me and goes, I think he wanted Jigglypuff practice. And we both just started dying of laughter.
Oh, that's beautiful.
So shout out to Rocky. Sorry for griming you out of Jigglypuff practice that you needed in bracket.
All
That's
right.
my story.
Someone in chat mentioned, why doesn't Edwin teach a class on how to not get wobbled?
I actually did a pretty good. I only got wobbled twice against Drunk Sloth. I was up 4 stocks to 2 against him in bracket.
Could you also teach a class on how to beat in Zane?
How to beat in Zane.
What's your record against him?
Oh, I have only played him once. So if you wanted to really get at me, you'd have to make fun of me for the Marth Ditto. That's the only matchup that like.
See, I can't even in good faith like make fun of people for doing that because I don't wish upon any Marth Main actually do well in that matchup.
I played someone very cool over the weekend. Several giraffes. She and I played a bunch of Marthados, and she's very good in the matchup. But she's one of the few Marths I've played that definitely loves the cheese in the matchup. So every time I would hit her with something really stupid, she'd just like laugh about it, but it'd make me really upset. I'd be like, "Why are you laughing about this? This is horrible. Like I just forward smashed you or something, or got a kill at 30%. This shouldn't work." And I just wanted to shout her out because she definitely accepts Marth for the stupid character that he is, and I'm still kind of in denial about it.
All right. So now we're moving into the Q&A section. They're starting to kind of flow in real quick. Fairfax starting off with which budding secondary has the worst name? I think it's...
do I get to go first or
no, there's this kind of just free-for-all discussion, I think.
I don't know. I remember them all being pretty equally bad.
I hate Mr. Wizard.
Oh, you mean Merlin the Wizard?
Yeah, Mr. Wizard. He's Mr. Wizard.
It's just become
Mr.
Mr.
fucking sucks.
I'm okay with that. I think the worst name would be probably Edwin Mexico, which is my Luigi, and that probably is my worst overall secondary. But I think the worst name I've ever given to something was, so if you've ever played my Falco, you'll know that I like to laser and grab a lot in like really stupid situations. And I use forward tilt a lot also. That's actually one of my favorite moves is Falco. So when I use Falco's forward tilt, I kind of think of it like a mini wand that I'm using to just like push my opponent back. So whenever my Falco uses forward tilt, I call it the Expelliarmus because it's sending people
All
back.
right, next question.
So that would be my
Speaking of Falco and forward tilting, shout out to that one episode of the Reeds where Lord was like dismantling this Puff with like, this is all you have to do in the matchup, and he's beating this Puff King George. And then after I watch the episode, I find out that Puff is soft. It's like, do you guys remember that episode? That's a fucking legendary episode, in my opinion.
Yeah, the Lord episode is so the two of my favorite episodes are the Lord episode. I think is great overall, but my favorite moment by far of the reads is the Ben SW episode where Ben SW goes down. He's about to get 4-stocked for like the third game he's played in the session, like in a row, and he's about to get 4-stocked, and Scar just starts laughing, and Ben starts like nervously laughing because he knows he's gonna get 4-stocked against another Peach, and Scar just goes, "Here it is. Any moment now, a down tilt is gonna kill him, a forward smash is gonna kill him, literally anything." And Ben SW walks up to the Peach and does a down angled forward tilt that sends him like nowhere. And Scar just starts laughing. He's like, it's like you're trying to pitch a no-hitter, dude. And like the whole panel starts laughing, and Ben hits a back air, and Scar just goes, "Yes!" But it doesn't kill him, and then Ben SW just gets 4-stocked to end the session.
Wow, feels bad, man.
Something less specific, probably a very quick question from Big Buffalo. Do you think Marth beats Spacey's pretty convincingly? What do you think, like the Marth?
I'm willing to concede that it's 55-45. But I am part of the
Falco?
I'm less sure about Falco. I'm still not sure how to think about that matchup. But for Fox, I'm of the camp that the matchup is I'm part of the camp that thinks 60-40.
Yeah, I think so pretty definitively that Fox beats Marth. Falco, I think right now in the current metagame, because defense is so good and everyone's defense has gotten a lot better. Like if you look at the way that there's just so many scrambles or like different situations where even if Falco gets a hit, like guessing wrong will get him slide off up aired or ASDI down grabbed if he's not careful. Like think how dumb that is. Like Falco can land a hit on his opponent on Marth and still potentially die because he reacted wrong. Mm-hmm. And the risk reward is just so in his favor. But at the same time, Falco's laser game, even that, like people say power shielding is an answer, but if the Falco has a good enough dash dance, like he can mix up his timing, shoot low lasers. There's good counterplay for it. I think there's a lot of good mix-ups on Falco's end in the matchup. I actually used to really dislike that matchup a lot as Marth because it never felt like I actually like earned a victory as much as I just kind of gimmicked my way against Falco. Mm-hmm. Like whether it's forcing him through knockdown or just crouch or like getting out of his combos and trading and then killing him off in exchange. So I could see either one winning in the future, like definitively. But right now, I think it'd be difficult to say that Marth doesn't win in the current metagame.
And a much shorter answer, yeah, I think Marth wins both those matchups. By what extent, I don't know. I don't.
What do you like playing against Marth? Wait, no, you hate it, right?
I like playing against my friend's Marth who doesn't know any tech. It's really fun not getting chain grabbed and just getting the combo the shit out of Marth. But playing against the real Marth, not fun. I mean, I think I like playing against Marth more than I like playing against Fox. But
really,
yeah. What's
up with Fox?
Because I have so much more experience like with the combo weight of Marth. I know where I need to throw moves. Whereas Fox, even though it's a little bit simpler in what you have to do against Fox, I'm just so more used to it. It's more naturally ingrained. It just comes to me less without thinking of it. I think
there's like, based on my experience playing the matchup at least, like there's a lot of checkmate positions that I think Falco technically has where like Marth doesn't really have a good answer other than just hoping that Falco messes up. Like even if he can power shield or whatever, like shielding by itself is a commitment. So if Falco fakes you out, then you just look really dumb and you're stuck in shield. Where Marth, like the reward for him getting a grab is really big, but his shield isn't that good. Neither is his out of shield game. So I don't know. It's really weird. I need to see how that matchup develops more.
Puff Legend asks, everybody, quick, what's your tier list for easiest characters to get top 100? To which my answer is like, shit, I'm not even top 300 with my main.
This is a bait.
So, yeah.
No, I 300 with your main? Come on, Kay. That's like,
what?
That's 300 people. That's a high number.
Okay, top 500, top 700.
No. I'm saying like I think you're underestimating yourself.
My best win is like a upstate Luigi, dude.
Okay, so that's fine, but like you have to think, how bad is the average melee player? Like
What are you classifying as a melee player? Like someone who's been to a tournament? Because that's a huge okay. Yeah, no, I think Kay, you're much better than the average. Like Kay, when you go to the locals.
The point is, I don't think I have. The point is, Legend is baiting us.
Yeah.
We're gonna drop some bad answer. We're gonna get tweeted at. Like Europe's gonna quote us.
We're gonna get attacked by Europe.
Yeah, you know what? Some people call it dodging. I call it strategic planning.
Options.
Yeah. You know, you don't pick fights that you can't win. You know. So next question.
Wheat said, who will have the most fraudulent placing in the top 100? Who will make it, but it will be fraudulent? The first thing...
NFW for the 100th time.
It'll probably be some sort of legacy player ranking. The first name that comes to my mind, just because he hasn't been to much, but he did okay recently, is MacD. But I don't think MacD's a bad player per se. I think he'll get a lot of benefit of the doubt from Legacy. If he meets the requirements. I think he either meets the requirements and ends 64th or something, or he doesn't meet the requirements.
That's fair.
I have kind of a all right. Sorry, I'm pretty sure he was watching this before, so just ahead in advance. My apologies, but I think Saint and Ginger are going to get really overrated even by the end of the year rankings, just because it's not necessarily their fault. It's just the exposure of going to Summit, a few really strong sets they have, which admittedly is awesome for them. But just looking at their records as a whole, I think their perception of them as these high, or the perception of them in the scene, I think definitely gets boosted by Summit. And they're still really strong players. It wouldn't surprise, Saint just had a really good shine, at least. But he also got a Puff Ditto bracket, which is different than, beating a slew of top 20 players. Not that he hasn't done that. He's beat Lucky earlier this year, beat Hugs, which is obviously really strong. But if you were to ask me that, I think those two are the first people that come in mind. And maybe Ice. Ice is the third person.
Ginger's gonna hate us.
Damn.
Yeah, I don't think either of those answers that you Save or Edwin gave are pretty bad. I don't think I have much to really add. Maybe Slacks might be overrated a little just because his records have such high barriers. Bobby Big Balls might be overrated if he makes it.
Yeah, a lot of the people from that are borderline top 100, it is somewhat difficult for them to be distinguished from one another. So image matters a lot, even though theoretically it should be just about results.
Now here's a really good question. Who would win in a crew battle? Melee Stats fans or Forbidden Podcast fans?
I don't want to
hold on. I didn't.
I mean,
wait. Actually, are we saying collectively the average Melee Stats podcast listener or our best players? Because I think our best players are pretty good.
Yeah, we've got IBDW Legend
Wait,
yeah, Dark Truth as well.
My connection is bugging out. Shit.
Oh yeah, we just said analog versus Melee Stats fans crew battle. Who would win? I think we got a lot of.
Well, okay, now this is gonna sound BM, but who's fans of analog? I actually don't know who specifically are the fans of the analog, and I realize when I say that just sounds really fucked up.
Yeah, that's pretty easy.
No,
but I'm just legitimate.
Yeah, we don't no malice there.
I'm going through their Discord right now, and does Rishi count as a fan of himself?
That might be a. Let's go to another question before.
Rishi's a very good melee player. I'm just asking if he can.
So
he counts.
do you think?
I mean, with or without the podcast, though.
Let's go to another question. Another caller, please. Let's save melee. Do you think Chudat's performance at Shine was good? He got 13th, but his only top 100 wins were West Balls and Hugs. West Balls and Hugs are good top 100 wins.
Yep.
They are very good victories.
Yep.
You sound like you want to say something else, Edwin. You gonna talk?
No, that's literally it. That does not. This does not change my perception of Chudat.
I mean, he lost to 42nd last tournament. I mean, so did S-Fact.
That's really good. But that's not gonna it's also the Ice Climbers thing, right? And it's also the Ice Climber. I don't know. It's just like, why should this we know he can do things like this when he's playing at his best. Like it's not as if we thought Chudat forgot how to play well against like really strong opponents. We just know that he's fallen off against like the top half field as a whole. So for him to get two sets, like that's good for him, but that's not changing what I think. Like we made fun of Chudat or kind of roasted him for so long, but even during the time when we roasted him, we know that if we see that faded Chudat versus Mewtwo matchup in round 2 pools, we're sweating, or I'm sweating at least. I don't know about other people.
We have been blessed not to see an icy set between M2K and any ices. We've been blessed that he's managed.
I thought you were gonna say we haven't seen a Ganon set between Chudat and Mewtwo King again.
Oh no, I don't even want to think about that. I'm just glad that we haven't seen like M2K ices set. Not just because I'm afraid of M2K.
Or Mewtwo King Chudat puffed it up.
Oh, I was gonna say that. God damn it.
Yeah,
that's the logical conclusion.
But yeah, I don't know. He beat Hugs. He has like a mental Hugs has a mental block on him. He beat West Balls, who I still think is a really strong player. But you know, Ice Climbers, Chudat, the high end of his range is still like very good. We never doubted that over the last week. We just doubt his consistency. So
we just need. Oh god, I was gonna say something really bad, but then I stopped myself.
You can't say this shit and then stop.
Yeah.
Now you got to play the villain role. Let's
because I just realized like this kind of sounds like a slight to Europe. So I mean,
no, go for it. We already burnt our bridges with that.
Okay, if there's any sign of us of both Chudat and West Balls, it's just that we need to get people who are starting to lose a lot of sets. Send them to Europe, have them win more sets, and then come back.
It's like Triforce.
It's like the fix my melee and on me ranking. You just ship them over to Europe, they come back.
That's not even like losing to Chu isn't even bad for over Triforce. Chu is so good against Sheik. This poor guy had to play over Triforce a bunch.
Yeah, poor over Triforce. He like spends so much money to come to the US and then like loses to European players or like ICs. Feels bad, man. Like he got eliminated by he got sent to losers by Lavingi at Evo, and then he lost to Frenzy at like SmashCon. Oh man.
Any more questions for us, guys?
I just joined, but have you guys talked about Gahtzu and Army?
We talked about that 3-0.
I don't know what else there really is to say about Army at this point. I don't feel like he really underperformed or overperformed. So
yeah, he's a good Ice Climbers player, and he does what Ice Climbers are expected to do.
Every now and then.
Yeah.
Who's the lowest melee IQ that beat Chudat? Well, if you use Fiction's theorem, it's got to be Bama, probably, right?
I feel like I feel like you'll have an interesting answer for this. I can think of someone.
Oh no. No, I'm blanking.
This is your opportunity, dude. Go for the jugular.
Who am I? I know who you're going.
I
know exactly who you're talking about now. I would never shit talk anyone. I would never.
Should I ask?
I would never especially not someone who would tweet out calling me in. I forget his direct. Something like an ignorant moron or something like that. Probably a lot like. Yeah. You're putting together the puzzle pieces of this man who would hate me. This man from MDVA. Did you notice when at Super Smash Con, like I was talking about players to highlight, and I went down the PR and I like very noticeably jumped one person?
That's
It was
funny.
like I was talking about yada 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 and peanut phobia.
Should we just name who it is? Because
No. No, I mean you can if you want.
You cannot put me on the spot for burning bridges.
No. Milkman has burnt that bridge, built it again, and burnt that shit to the ground.
Let's go.
I want to say civil, but fuck you, Milkman.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
No. I have no reason to hate you except you explicitly calling me out and calling me a moron in your tweet that went really viral. Yeah, no, but I've heard you're a nice person in person. Me and Slime squashed our beef, so we can too. Maybe not after this.
I love this. Like, this is open. I love it. This is raw. I'm game for it.
All right.
Well, we should move on to the next question.
Yeah.
That one further than I thought, but I think it's good.
You kept on.
No, it went exactly where I wanted it to go.
Hey, this is your fault.
My fault.
You're a bad influence.
Kay's putting us all. We got the weapons pulled out and everything. Let me see if is there any comments here that we can. Okay, Sika asked if we talked about Zane. Yeah, we did. We can go more, or I could go more in depth and bore you on the Marth stuff while these two fall asleep, or we can just say that we already talked about it. What do you guys think?
We already talked about it.
We already talked about Zane.
Sika, I'll talk to you later if you want.
Edwin's newest edition of Monday Morning Marth. If you want to hear him gush about Zane.
Yeah. Oh, Fairfax has a good question. What's the worst character crew that could beat the Marth crew? I think the Samus crew is really good. I think there's no chance that Marth beats the Samus crew. I'm telling you that much.
Would the Pikachu crew be able to do it?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, they would all lose to Ducks, Marth.
Axe included. Ducks Marth secretly
But they'd have the greatest Pikachu of all time, DJ Nintendo, on their squad. How could they possibly lose?
You know, I think the Yoshi crew would beat the Marth crew.
No, I don't.
I think so.
Actually,
I think so.
What is the Yoshi crew?
So you have Vector Man, Amsa, Peanut Phobia, Wheedler, or whatever.
Nebby,
and
Oh,
Nebby,
yeah,
and just those five, you'd probably just like take out the entire.
I think Nebby and Amsa is really scary.
Yeah.
That's terrifying.
Yeah, no.
I have faith. That might be. I would say that's the low end, but my safe pick would be the Samus players. I think the Samus players would beat us pretty definitively.
Beat us. I always.
Look, I'm wearing the Marth Main shirt.
Marth
I may as well.
Council. Oh man. Do we have anything else? You guys want to call it a show before we offend someone else?
I feel like, oh man, I want to answer one more question. And someone.
Is
all right,
in the next Samus.
And in the next 3 minutes, everyone blow out your like most flames question.
Oh, no.
And if nothing comes up, we'll end it. But like, is Doc better than Samus? Oh my god!
Oh my god! No, don't take the bait.
Do it.
No. We're not doing it. If Pika wants to come into the show,
right?
if Pika wants to come on the show and personally debate to me about why Pikachu, or I mean not Pikachu, why Doc is better than Samus, then I will personally entertain that conversation. But aside from that, no.
September's a dry
again.
month for majors, right? You got.
I mean, that would be interesting for a show.
Doc versus the mid-tier debates is a theme.
That could be.
So honestly, here's my hot take.
Mm-hmm.
There's a non-zero chance where I feel like this entire year ranking period
mm-hmm.
will be the most fraudulent of all years. That is my hot take.
I don't think that's too hot of a take. I think after the
Wait, what? I disagree. I don't think that.
Really?
You think so?
I think there's just, if you look at the ways that rankings were in the past, like 2013 rankings and even Taffel.
Oh, okay. Obviously, okay. I'm omitting 2013 because 2013.
That was the wackest year for rankings.
Okay, yeah. There was very little regulation of that. Like, Silent Spectre was 50 and stuff like. Yeah, we're not 20, but 2018 I predict will definitely be a lot more whack than 2017.
I don't think it'll be whack, and maybe this is just off of good faith, but I think the process has improved a lot from years past, and I have faith in both the selection of panelists, the amount of resources available, and everything else.
The algorithm.
Okay, well, not the algorithm, but I have faith in the process being.
No, it's not the panelists that I have a problem with, or the weighting system or the grading system. For some reason, and ultimately we'd have to look at the end of the year to see if this is really the case. But for some reason, there's a little part of me that outside of the top 20 and 30, that the number of sets between people past that is going to be real sketchy. That's what I think. And more so than previous years, I think ranking people past 30 is going to be very weird in 2018.
I have faith that it'll turn out fine. I don't think.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
But that's why it's a hot take. See.
No,
I see where you're coming from, though.
Definitely agree that to an extent, especially with how weird this year's results are and with how little tournaments there are. It might be pretty difficult to parse. I mean, it's always like after like 60, 70, it's kind of just like a crapshoot from there. But yeah, I guess we'll wait and see. We got 4 more months. I think that's probably...
Everybody, I'll be at Big House.
Yeah.
Say hi.
KayB.
I normally don't get to come to shit like this because I live in South Korea, and God forbid that's like the third world country of Melee. So like, yeah, no, I have to. It's like we play with like maybe 3 to 5 people every week if we're lucky, and someone that we have to reserve. It's like it's over, and we have to huddle around 1 or 2 setups. Sucks.
Edwin, before we go, do you want to kind of do your little spiel and also give your parting words because you're not going to be here for a couple of weeks?
Yeah. So first off, I want to thank our new patron, I think I shouted out Matthew Biddle last week, but in case I didn't, shout out to Matthew Biddle who's supporting us on Patreon now. But I want to also shout out Singstall, aka Joey, for joining the Melee Stats Patreon as a subscriber. It'll be linked in the description of this video when it gets released on YouTube and everything. Your support is mega appreciated, and we've been doing this podcast for like 21 weeks. I've been on every episode. Save has produced everyone. It's been tough, but we've had a lot of fun doing it. And we're putting out a good product. And as you guys know, I'm working on a book. And if you follow me personally, you'll know that I just bought an apartment. So my work is getting pretty intense. And there's a lot of stuff left with the book that I need to finish before I can release it. This podcast, while really fun, is a big time commitment from me. So as of September, I'm just going to be taking a hiatus from the podcast. And this episode, I wanted to hand the reins to Save to host the show. So Save will be doing all the stuff that I was normally doing before. I'm going to be working on my book. You guys can still reach out to me. I'll probably be a little less active than I was in the past, but it's been really fun I'm really proud of what we accomplished with the show. I'm excited to see how it moves moving forward. I'll be back at some point probably, but definitely not for September. There's just a lot of stuff I got to figure out for my book. It's out. So thank you guys for supporting us. Thank you. So to sum it up for our patrons, thank you to Jacksilla, Stock Money, Gerg, Matthew Biddle, and Singstall, aka Joey, for your support of us. Really appreciated. And I'll see you guys on the other side. Thank you.
You're not going to die, Edwin.
On the other side of
the grass is greener. There's light at the end of the tunnel.
I think that about does it. Thank you guys for joining us for this episode. Sorry to see you go for a little bit, Edwin. It's going to be interesting these next coming weeks. We'll probably try some more different, more special stuff. Maybe we'll do that Doc versus Samus debate because September is a little bit slow. Okay.
No, wait.
Maybe. We're not locking anything in yet.
We're not sinking that low.
Now we're gonna do it. But we're not locking anything in yet. But it's gonna be an interesting month. We're gonna try a little bit of things now that our responsible dad Edwin is out of the house. We can goof around a little bit more. But I think that about does it for this episode. I've been SaveAsUntitled. Kay, thank you for coming back. Edwin, I can't have you back soon enough, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace.
Follow my Twitter if you want Flames anime opinions.